The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are listen-only mode.
Okay, so we get this set up. And 1 second, I just need to switch one thing around and then we will get started. I need to make myself the presenter first. All right, perfect. Okay, guys, welcome to Hurdlr, our 4-week series. We are doing a series to get our field and our unfranchised owners acclimated with the new Hurdlr app, which of course replaced what was formerly known as Deductor and is an incredible tool that all unfranchised owners should be using because it's a great way to track your time, your income, and your expenses, which will put you in a which can put you in a better position for tax time to save you more time and money. So last week we had Ashley Rockwell, who is the head of customer success over at Hurdlr, and she walked us through all of the basics of using the Hurdlr app. So if you missed that session or would like to replay it, it is on the Shopping Annuity YouTube channel. We're actually going to upload all 4 of these sessions into a playlist so that you guys can rewatch the sessions or share them with your team and help other people get started with Hurdlr as well. Now, one of the things that I absolutely love about this program is that even though we're doing a 4-week session to help people get acclimated and really comfortable, the app itself is incredibly intuitive. It's very, very easy to use, and I can tell you that even before we launched it, myself and a few others had early access to it, and I set mine up on a Saturday morning by myself using a little 2-minute video, I think that actually Ashley put together, on how to upgrade from Deductor. And it was great. It was so simple. I was using Deductor, so everything that I had done with Deductor had ported right over into my app, and it was really easy to use from there. And then the other thing I just want to mention is that having used this system, it does things to help you be consistent. Where the former application that we used to use was great, it was good, but it didn't. It was really a little bit more challenging to make it a habit because you had to do all kinds of things to just keep yourself accountable. Where the Hurdlr app has the ability to turn on notifications, which when there is stuff to confirm or to review, it sends you little notifications to your phone so that you don't forget to use the app. So I'm just loving it. It's been incredible. I actually met with my bookkeeper and my CPA last week, showed them the app, gave them access to my app, showed them what I'm doing, and literally they are charging me less money for reviewing all my stuff because they have to do less manual work themselves. So that's really great too. So whether you're using this by yourself or you're using it in conjunction with a CPA or accountant or bookkeeper or whatever, it can be a very powerful tool. So what we want to focus on today is being consistent with this app. And so I'll start off with a couple of very simple tips, and then what I'd love to do is, as soon as I'm done in the next 2 minutes, is I'm going to turn it over to Ashley, and she's going to share with us 2 tools or 2 features of the app that we can use to save us some time. She's going to talk us about setting automation rules or setting rules, and then also talk to us about time tracking. So both of those features are very, very powerful and will save us a lot of time and actually make it even easier to be consistent because, as you'll see, when you do things like set rules, you can do something once and then not have to do it repeatedly over and over again. So I'll let her talk more to that. And what I'll do is I'll just give you a couple of things that have worked really well using any kind of app like this, which worked really well for Deductor and also can work well for Hurdlr. So the first thing is you want to just pick a time of whether it's of the day or of the week or whatever it is that you can absolutely commit to. And what that basically means is that it's a time that you're not likely to be interrupted or scheduled over or blow off, right? And so a lot of folks, when they started using Deductor, would pick a day of the week. And so you could do a Hurdlr Friday. Every Friday, you just schedule an appointment with yourself to go in and do a mass review and just make sure that you are checking everything off and reviewing everything that needs to be reviewed. If you do it that way, you're chipping away on a weekly basis. That's great. Or you could do it in the morning. So when you're trying to do form a new habit, one way that you can form a new habit is to pair it with another habit that you already have. So if you're the type of person that has a morning coffee without fail every morning, then maybe one way that you can be consistent with Hurdlr is to say, okay, every morning when I have my coffee, I'm going to make it a point to log into this app and review everything that needs to be reviewed from the day before. That's a really simple thing that we can do to be consistent after dinner, whatever the time may be, right? The most important thing, though, is to take note of how compliant you are with whatever it is that you set for yourself. So if you tell yourself that you're going to do this with morning coffee every day, and that's going to be your goal for the week with this, then see how compliant you are with that. And if it works for you, great. You just pick something that's going to be successful for you. But if you're not finding that you're being compliant and doing it with your morning coffee like you said you would, that's fine, but just pick a different thing. Try something different, because what you don't want to do is end up 12 weeks down the line where you wish that you had made this a habit and now you don't have a lot to review because you simply just didn't pick a different time or a different type of system for yourself to keep you consistent. Now, I want to also really quickly just go over a couple of the top questions that came in from week 1, both on the webinar and also through direct message and on social media. So if the first question was, my bank is not coming up, what should I do? So the first thing is that Hurdlr is actually connected to thousands of banks, actually more banks than Deductor was connected with. So, and more types of financial institutions than Deductor was connected with. So we don't see this coming up as a frequent issue because like I said, they have more connections. So this isn't something that came up because of issues. It came up because it was a concern of what if this happened. So that's number one, is we actually have we have more connections than Deductor did, so it's less likely to come up. But if it doesn't come up, you can always add manually or request or send in a request and ask for it. Can you link a credit card? And the answer to that was yes. Can I enter manually for non-bank accounts? Yes, you can. You can add transactions. You can track more businesses. Number 5, where do I record my auto ship expenses? That's more of a CPA type of question, but I can share with you that a lot of unfranchised owners have different uses for their auto ship. Some people, when they have an auto ship come in, it's coming in because it's marketing, right? If you're doing trial size marketing or any kind of marketing, or you're gifting product as a free trial, then that's a marketing expense, right? Or if it's inventory to sell, then it's an inventory. Or if it's personal use, then it's probably not a write-off, right? So you just have to ask yourself what that product is for, and you can go ahead and categorize that accordingly. And then the last question, the most common question, was, where do I go for frequently asked questions and ongoing support? So Ashley did show everybody that, and when she goes through into the account, I'm going to ask her to share that one more time. But there is a chat function, and there's also a really great help center within the app too. Lots of great FAQs right there for us, including videos and including things that are specific to unfranchised owners. Like, for example, how do I upgrade my Deductor account to Hurdlr? So that is a video that I watched that helped me get started in like under 5 minutes, and it was phenomenal. It was very, very helpful. So you can go ahead and explore around from there. So I'm going to share the to-do for the end here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to promote Ms. Ashley here to be the presenter, and she's going to talk to us about different ways that we can save time with the app and help to be more consistent by doing things like, for example, using rules, automatic rules. So Ashley, I just went ahead and passed you over. Okay, good, awesome.
Perfect, thanks. Let me just get this up real quick. All right, can you see my phone?
Not yet, but I see, hold on. Actually, yes, I do. It was just, my thing was too wide. I think so. Hold on one sec. Screen sharing on, and then is it the 24,751 on your phone? Is that what we're looking at?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. I just scrolled on it. Cool. So before I jump into this, I just wanted to reiterate your point there about support. So you'll see this chat bubble in the top left corner here. So if you tap on that, you'll be able to see a conversation with the team and the questions that you have. And it comes into our office, and typically during our office hours, we'll respond under 5 minutes. This is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time. And outside of those hours, we're responding within 24 hours. So typically, if you respond overnight while we're out of the office, you'll get a response that next morning when we come back. And then FAQ she mentioned, if you tap this settings button in the top left corner and scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's help and FAQ button. So if you click on that, it will take you to our help center, and you can search for articles. And also group together. There's video having started. A little further down, there's a whole section for deductor conversion. So if you come to deductor, you can take a look at that as well. Just wanted to show you guys that before we jumped into this. And then I think I'll also try to save some time at the end for some more Q&A. So if you guys have questions throughout, feel free to chat those in, and then we'll save some room at the end as well. So as Sarah mentioned, this week we want to focus on staying on top of tracking all of your data and really just helping you save that time and the stress at the end of the year by keeping on top of it and not waiting till the end. So the one thing that I really encourage all of you to do first, if you haven't already done this, is turn on notifications. So this is done on each page of the app. So let's go to the mileage tab first. If you tap on this gear icon in that top right corner there, it brings up the settings. And you'll see right here, there's one called push notifications, and it's currently on. So if yours is off, it will look like this. But if you just go in and tap on it, it'll turn it on. And that way, each time you finish a drive, it will give you a notification that you have a drive to tag. And that works the same for the expenses. You'll see right there. And then for income as well. So if you don't already have those turned on, I definitely recommend turning those on first. And additionally, if you have notifications turned off for the app itself, you will need to make sure that they are turned on in your phone settings. The next thing I just want to reiterate too is making a habit of setting aside each time. We definitely have users who wait till the end of the year and then they're freaking out because the tax deadline is tomorrow and they haven't tagged any of their transactions and they're trying to go through it all. So definitely want to make sure that you're not ending up in that situation by setting aside time each day or each week and keeping on top of that. We do try to make that as easy as possible by sending you those notifications and then a few of these other features that I'm going to go into today. So the first thing I wanted to talk about today was our rules feature. So we have a feature that actually will tag your transactions and your mileage for you automatically based on different rules that you set. So there's two different ways to do them. For expenses and income, you actually have the option of setting up these rules yourself through the vendor section. So I'll first show you how to do that. So if we just go up to this settings, the three buttons on top left corner, we can go down to where it says vendors. And then you can pick one of our vendors. So let's say that anything through Amazon is always business for me. So I'm going to go ahead and create a rule that anything that's Amazon is going to be tagged as business. And it's going to be tagged to my real estate business as supplies. So then I'll go ahead and save that. And it'll ask me if I want to apply it to both past and future expenses or future only. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it to both. And then any transactions that were already tagged or that are new and have not been tagged yet will be tagged for me automatically. So right here it's telling me that I have 2 new expenses that were tagged and I have 17 that were updated that had previously been tagged. So I'll just hit OK. And then save that. That's the one way to set up your rules. And that you can do for any vendor you have. Just go in and set that up. You can also add a new vendor if you know one's going to be pulling in and set it up that way. The other way is rule suggestions. So these are AI-based rules that learn your tagging habits over time, and they suggest rules for both your expenses and your mileage to help you tag them automatically in the future. So let's say I was tagging 2 transactions as business to Amazon. Then I might get a suggested rule saying, hey, we saw you tagged 2 transactions to Amazon. Is this a rule that you want to create? So let's take a look at that. Right now I have several suggested rules I can look at. So if I tap that blue banner there, it's going to list out all of my different rules based on my tagging habits. And then all I need to do is accept or reject them. So the first one here is for VIA, so that's kind of like an Uber service, but sometimes that's personal too, so I don't want to make that a rule. So I'm going to reject that one. And then it will ask me the first time I reject a rule if I want to stop getting rule suggestions. We recommend continuing to get them if we find that they're very useful for our users. But if you don't want to get rule suggestions, you could always hit to stop. So I'm going to hit don't stop. So then I have another one, and let's say that is always a business expense. So then I'll hit approve. And again, like when we created one before through the vendor section, it will ask me if I want to apply it to past and future or just future. So I'm going to go ahead and tag it to past and future. And then just lets me know that the rule was created. So now let's say that I accidentally set a rule that I don't want anymore. What I can do to fix that is I hit the gear icon on the expenses page, and then I go to expense rules. So this is going to list all of my rules that I already have set, as well as my pending ones. And if I tap in this, tap that there, it's going to show my active ones. So those are the ones that are active, and I can always tap on them and delete them if I need to. And then if I accidentally delete one that I actually want to bring back again, I can just go to this archive section and I'll be able to see those and restore them. Let's go back there. So the other thing I want to mention as far as these rules is that sometimes you'll have a vendor name where it has transaction-specific data associated with it. So let me see if I can find one here. So here's the one for Hulu. So for the Hulu one, after it says Hulu, it has a custom number for each expense. So it's not always going to match each time. So what we can do for issues like this is if I go into the vendors and I search for Hulu, set a rule, I can click on that. Oops. And click on this first one and hit create a rule again. And then there's this little section at the bottom called advanced rules. So this actually lets you set non-exact matches. So I can turn that on, and then I can delete these custom numbers that come after it and save this rule. But now anything that it contains Hulu at all will get tagged for me automatically, not just ones that have that specific number strand after it. So that's great if you have different vendors that are giving you custom vendors each time. It's a great way to keep track of those as well. And suggested rules work for mileage as well. I don't believe I have any right now, but similar to on the expenses page, you would just have a blue banner up here and be able to click on that to see them. And then by tapping the gear icon, you can also see your mileage rules. So right now I have one mileage rule set. And at any time I could come in and delete it, or I could update it if I need to make any changes to it. And just in general, the rules help you a lot by just making it easier for you, taking care of all the tagging. That way you're not forgetting to do it. When you do have to go in and tag them, you're saving a lot of time because you're not having to go through every single one. It's really taking care of a lot of that for you. So the other thing I wanted to quickly hit on is time tracking. So Hurdlr has a built-in time tracking feature to help you track all of your different tasks. To access this, you'll want to tap that More menu in the top left corner, or yes, top left corner. And we will go to Time and Tasks. So here, you can either use the timer and actually time your tasks in real time by clicking this little clock button. So here you could choose which business it's for. If it's associated with a certain client, you can select the client it's associated with. And then you want to select which task it is. So let's say I'm doing administrative work. I can even add notes to say what I'm doing or what I'm working on if I want to keep those for myself. And then I would just hit the Start Tracker button, and you'll see it starts counting up. So then I can, hide that, and I can go off and do other things, but it will still be tracking for me. So then if I just click this gray banner at the top where the time tracker is running notification is, we just tap this orange button, go back to it. I can go back and I can hit complete. And it was too short, so it's going to show that for me because it thinks that I actually hit it. But typically it would show up like one here, our administrative time, where if you live with what it is. You might not want to extract your time in the app itself, but you might want to keep track of how much time you're spending time on. So you can always add it manually by tapping this plus sign in the top right corner. So you can enter the duration, what the date was, which business it's associated with. Again, if you have a client it was associated with, and then which task it was. So let's say we had an hour-long meeting and I had a monthly meeting. So I can save that and then it shows up here. And then the really cool thing is that if for any time frame that you want, you can go back and you can export reports for it. So I can scroll down and there's a whole report for my time by task and my time by business. So the time by task will just total your time for each different task, whereas the time by business will show you how much time you're spending on certain things for each of your businesses if you have multiple businesses. So it's just a really helpful feature to kind of see where you're spending your time. Maybe it can help you figure out where to cut some time or how to be more efficient. But again, it's just kind of helping you track it all in one place. So I'll pause there and just see if there's any questions.
Yeah, so Susan says, how should I log my time on calls and webinars? So I guess it would be the same thing, right? You would just log it as that?
Yeah.
Label it as that?
Yeah, definitely. And you can actually, add custom tasks too. So I'm not sure if webinar is a default task. So it does not look like it. So let me show you how to add a custom task. So if we're on the main time and task page, you can click the gear icon and then hit the task button. And then you'll see this plus sign in the top right corner, and you can add a new task. So let's add webinar. So we'll add that, and now it's going to be listed in our tasks. So we can go back, and now we can add in the 30-minute webinar from today. So we have that. It's going to be for Market America, and the task is webinar. So then I can say it's the Hurdlr Accountability.
And Carol also just had a good comment. She said that the webinars could also be just categorized as teleconferencing, which I believe was on there. So, so it's however you prefer.
Yep, yeah, definitely.
If you see it as webinar, you can always just add it, which is really nice.
Yeah, definitely. Some people really like to customize each specific task, and then some people like to keep it kind of more general. So some people will, break out each administrative task so they can see what they're doing, and then others will just say, I spend 2 hours to get that admin work. So it really depends on your preference and what you're trying to get out of that time tracking feature.
Cool. All right, well, there's no other questions in the question box. So did you have anything else to walk through, or should we show the wrap-up screen?
Yeah, one more thing I can show. I didn't have it listed today, but it's another great time-saving feature, especially if you get a little bit behind on tagging things. We have a speed tagging feature. Let me go to the expenses page. And if I tap this orange icon in the bottom right corner, it brings up our speed tagging. So what I can do is I can, select all, or I can select several transactions and tag them as business or personal at once. So that really helps you save time, especially if you kind of know already what those transactions are. You don't have to go through and swipe each one. So it's definitely another great time-saving tip, and it does work for mileage, income, and expenses.
Okay, great. One other question that just came in is, can we set name addresses in the mileage tracker?
So we can't currently do that, but I know that's something that our engineering team is working on. I believe they're planning to have that later this year, but I'm not sure of their exact time frame. But that's definitely a common request we get, and I think it would definitely be really useful to our users, being able to have those saved addresses.
Cool. Okay, awesome.
Any other questions?
Sarah, please reiterate, how do I access? Okay, yes, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to answer there. It's just how to access the replay. So I'll have that up, and let me just
Perfect.
In one little second, sorry. And I'm going to share my screen for a second. So Ashley, thank you so much.
Yep.
That was incredibly helpful. I was just telling Ashley,
Yeah, of course.
it's so nice to have somebody like an expert like from the company actually here helping us out. You know, this is just fantastic. So, all right, so I'm gonna show you where to access the replay. Week 1 for the Hurdlr. Okay, so on Shopping Annuities channel right here, youtube.com/shopping annuity. If you just come here, then you'll notice that the most recent videos is Hurdlr. We will start a playlist. So week 1 is available for a replay here. And week 2 will be added to Shopping Annuities channel as well. So you just can go to youtube.com/shopping annuity and you can catch week 1's replay, and you'll be able to see week 2 here as early as tomorrow as well. So that is that. And then what I just want to do is just remind everybody a simple to-do list. So number 1 is, again, the most important thing that you can do with the app is to use it consistently. So it's very, very powerful, and there are rules, ways to automate and not make you have to interact as much, like how Ashley demonstrated for you today. Those setting the rules, taking a little time to set them up so that you don't have to repeat the same actions over and over again, is a really great way to save yourself some time and increase the consistency that you have with the app. So for this week, I want everybody to try to focus on making this habitual. So whether it's setting aside a time for reviewing your expenses and income, adjusting something that did not work for you last week in week 1, or if you start something this week and you're finding it's not working, just making adjustments. Because if you're really going to make this a thing and you're going to actually use this, then the number 1 top priority for you has to be making this a habit. And then the last item for you this week is to try using some of the new features that Ashley just took the time to walk you through, the suggested rules and the time tracking. And if you have questions, you know, use the chat box. She showed you where that was located, and there's some, you know, she said again that there is instant responses, and if they're closed, you get a response in the morning, which is great. So, hold on. Okay. So, Carmen, so a few unfranchised owners did not receive the change of location. Where do I tell them to go? So, I'm just going to pop in here like the link for the registration just so you have it. It was sent out via UFN. It should have gone out as an unfranchised news. And also, I posted it in all the Facebook groups. So I'm sending you the registration for today. And then I'm going to send you the replay registration as well. So thank you guys so much. Spread the word. We'll get week 3 really, really filled out here. And hopefully, you know, this has been very helpful for you. So thank you so much. We'll get the recording up soon. Have a great rest of your week.